higher, and the Dow hits 13,000. Exciting times here at Market Club. Hello, fellow traders everywhere. Adam Hewison here, co-founder of Market Club, with your midday market update for Tuesday, the 21st of February. Global jitters send crude oil prices higher. Number one trading tip, we always say this: don't fight the market, move with the market. Lots of people fighting this market, and it's not the way to do it right now. We'll also be looking at three stocks on the move today: CF Industries, WYNN Resorts, and WAL-MART, that had a big miss today. So we'll be looking at those stocks and analyzing them with our trade trials. But first, let's go to our portfolio manager. And here we are. We're looking at we'll start with the S&P 500. You can see the plus 100 right here. And let's look at that chart. And this is the S&P, and I get a little closer. We're sort of a long way out there, sort of give you the big picture, but I wanted to show you our monthly trade trials. In fact, let's stop there, because the reality is we don't get that many signals on our monthly trade triangles. And here's what I want to show you. And it's pretty simple, and what it is this. If you look at the distance between signals, so if we start here, and this is a daily chart, and we go there, you can see that we had a pretty equal distance from here to here as well, time-wise. So generally speaking, we could extrapolate that and just say the highs should get pretty close to the same period. So we're looking for the highs to come in sometime, maybe late April, and this maybe late March, early April. We'll see what happens. But generally speaking, the trend is clearly up. We've got some very strong trends going on in this market right now, and I think that's the important thing to look at. So let's take a look at the next market, which is the Dow, which is the one that's had the move that's kind of interesting. And you can see right now, let me get this closer in because it seems like we're a long way out today. So there you are. You see it just sort of steadily trending up, steadily trending up. There was the signal on the Dow at 12,284. It's 13,000 we hit today. It's 12,991 right now, 12,991. And it looks like it wants to go higher. I mean, there's just nothing. I mean, where else are people going to put the money? I think a lot of people are going to hear about this tonight on the news. 13,000 was hit. Whether we closed there or not is debatable. And but generally speaking, the trend is higher. Most of the trend of the stocks are going higher. So let's go back to our portfolio. Let's take a look at the silver spot, which is kind of interesting. And what I want to show you with silver, it's actually having a pretty nice day, but I want to scope this out just a little bit further. And I want to show you this trend line that I put in, that I drew earlier, and it's right here. So basically speaking, we're still under the trend line. Potentially, you could also argue that this is a cyclic high period. And what I mean by that, let me just take this off the screen. In terms of a cyclic high period is this. And if you look at the market, you have these periods of when the markets are very high, like right here and right here. And we think right here, as long as it's under this trend line, which is this downtrend line that we're seeing right now in the market. So let's wonder if it's going to come back down and maybe form something like this for a move later on. Remains to be seen. I would not be surprised to see something like this and then to go higher. But generally speaking, that's what we're seeing now. So I don't think we're very, very enthusiastic on silver, because really you've got our monthly trade triangles negative. We have a plus on the daily and weekly, and that gives you a plus 70 reading. So there again, it's a merging trend, but it's not there yet. So let's clear the screen off and go to our next market. The next market we're looking at is going to be the, let's see, it's going to be spot gold. Spot gold is still pretty much the same. It has broken the trend line. I'll definitely say that for it, but it really hasn't gotten going on the upside. It's sort of just beginning to labor. It's got resistance starting at 1760. So if we look at resistance levels, this is how I would see this market right now. And again, we always rely on our trade trials, but I would say certainly you've got resistance right here and then going all the way up to 18. So this is definitely a problem for this market. And I think that's the key thing to look at. So 18 to this level, definitely a challenge. So let's see how that plays out later on. But generally speaking, gold is not performing like stocks. Stocks are where you should have your money right now, at least trading-wise, based on our trade trial technology. So let's go to our next market. That's copper. We've been bullish on copper, and we'll scope this in just a bit closer so you'll see. But copper basically had the pullback, and if you remember, we talked about our Fibonacci numbers there. And the Fibonacci numbers pretty much came in where we thought this is a 38, we got close to a 50% retracement, reversed. We're up from the lows. I think 371 was the place we were looking at. I think we got down to 370.25, so definitely got into that zone. We've come back up. We're in a trading range of -60, so we could go back and forth here for a while, but looks like we are in a bull market in copper, which is if the economy picks up, which it looks as though it's doing, not just here but globally. If China picks up, demand for copper will pick up also, and we'll see this market continue to go higher. But again, we're going to rely on our trade triangles, which right now are -60, meaning the long, meaning the longer term trend is up, but the short term, intermediate term trend is down, giving you this trading range, and that's what we're going to be looking at for the time being. So let's go to our next market, and that's going to be crude oil. Crude oil is really the star of the show, and as you know, we've been talking about this market for some time. We've been bullish on it. The longer term, if you remember, we talked about the longer term trend in crude oil was positive. It's been positive since right back here on the November 16th. And even though we've had ups and downs, it still remains positive. Now, if you scope this out, and this is what we did, I'm going to just show you a weekly chart because we talked about this last week, and we scoped this out further, let's say a couple of years, and this is what we were looking at, and we're just going to do a close-only chart. And you can see, based on a close-only chart, we were looking at this is what we reported back on Friday, is this trend line here was basically broken. That was the previous high close on a Friday. And it was clearly broken on last Friday when we closed around 104. We're on 105.23 right now. But this market would look to us like it wants to go quite a bit higher. And we may see some backing and filling, but generally speaking, this market, in my opinion, should move quite a bit higher. We've got a kind of like we've got this what's building on to be a kind of head and shoulders base here. And if we're right, if we measure from this level here, the 80 level, to the highs, let's say we'll round that off to maybe 102 maybe. So you've got 22. So I think you're looking at somewhere in the 125 area as a target zone. 125, I think that would be reasonable to say. So let's see how that plays out. We're bullish. Plus 100 is always a very positive sign. Weekly, daily, and monthly are all positive, so we're going to go higher. So let's go to our next market, and we're going to be looking at the euro dollar against the dollar, and we also cover that in terms of our basket currencies, which is the dollar index. So here we are. We sort of moved up, moving sideways. Generally speaking, there's a weekly chart, but I want to go to the daily chart because it's going to give us more precise numbers. Going to go in just 6 months, and you can see that the resistance certainly is going to come in right around the 133 area for the dollar, or the euro is going to find resistance at 133. This is definitely shaping up to be a possible pivot point, and this is what I want to show with you. Let me get a little closer in 3 months perhaps. This is what I would be looking for in this market if it were to occur. And this gets back to what we were talking about before. Let me just clear the screen on that one. But it gets back to what we were talking before. The longer-term trend is down. Okay, that's the key thing. But the potential here is for this to be a top, this to be a top, and this to be a pivot point. And if we start moving down like this, potentially, again, it's not there yet because you've got a mixed signal. The weekly and the daily are up, indicating a trading range, which you can see the plus 60. So it's a trading range. But if we were to come down here and take out this level, then that would be a very good sign that maybe the trend is turned back down once again, momentum-wise. But certainly the 130 level right here is one area to watch very carefully. But again, trading at 132.45 right now live, and we'll see how that plays out. So let's go back to our screen and look at the market and go back to our not last market, but the dollar index. Pretty much the same picture there. And let's go to our next market, and that's going to be the Reuters Jeffries CRB index. This is huge, huge. And let me just explain what this is. We've talked about the dollar index, and I'm just going to put a close-only chart on it. If we scope this out, let's say a couple of years, you can see we're starting to make this turn. This area here, which is I think is crucial for this market, is the 325 level. If we close over 325, then we're going to see this market higher. Now, taking it just on a trend line, we can draw the trend line here, and you'll see what I mean in terms of the potential. We've actually broken out to the upside. We've got the double bottom, which I'll draw that in for you, which we talked about. And what this would mean for everybody is that we're going to go into an inflationary type scenario, which is not unusual considering how much money we printed. But here's a low, then there's the pivot point, the 125 area, which we talked about. And I think if we go over that level, then we're off to the races, and I think we could see this market go from these levels right here, which is just, let's say, I think it's 295, which is 295, and we take that level, we take that level, and we go from the 325 level, so it's 30, and that would give us 360, so takes us up to here, which takes us close to this target of 360, 370. So that's what we would look for in this market once we get over the 325 level. So lots going on. If you're not a Market Club member, you may want to check out our tools. They're very useful, very easy to use, and you can do well with them. Hey, this is Adam Hewison. I'll be back tomorrow with your Market Club midday market update, and we'll be talking about different stocks and different markets, and hopefully we'll see how these works out for everybody. Have a great trading day.